Hi there. So, when I watch the news every single day, I'm pretty much blown away at to the extent of how much trouble there is in the world right now. And then everybody on planet Earth has private lives too. So not only are we being exposed to what's going on in the world right now, but people have problems in their lives and things. I want to read something from the Bible. I want to read from the Gospel of Matthew. Um, Jesus, uh, his disciples, it says here, when his disciples, chapter 24, it says, when his disciples came to him to call his attention to its buildings, the temple, yes, he said to you, you may, well, look at all these. I tell you this, not one single stone will be left in its place. Every one of them will be thrown down. And then Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives. The disciples came to him in private and said, tell us when all this will be, they asked, and what will happen to show that it is the time for your coming and the end of the age. So Jesus now gives a prophecy about the end of the world, not just the end of uh, the Jewish worship in the temple, um, which was eventually thrown down, but then he talks about, you know, the end of the world. It's kind of like prophecy he's giving. So I'll just read chapter 24, verse 4. It says, Jesus answered, watch out and do not let anyone fool you. Many men claiming to speak for me will come and say, I am the Messiah, and they will fool many people. You're going to hear the battles, the noise of battles close by and the news of battles far away, but do not be troubled. Such things must happen, but they do not mean that the end has come. So we're seeing wars, lots of wars going on for a long time. Jesus says that when you see that, do not be troubled, for such things must happen, but they do not mean the end has come, right? So he says countries will fight each other, kingdoms will attack one another, which is happening now in the 21st century. There will be famines and earthquakes everywhere. So there's famines all throughout the world right now. There's earthquakes happening as well. All these things are like the first pains of childbirth, right? So it's building up to his second coming. It says, then you will be arrested and handed over to be punished and put to death. It's prophecy about Christians, what's going to happen to Christians during the time just before Jesus Christ comes back. It says, everyone will hate you because of me. Many will give up their faith at that time. They will betray one another and hate one another. Talking about even believers, but also in the world, people are going to betray one another. They're going to hate one another. It says, then many false prophets will appear and fool many people. Such will be the spread of evil that many people's love will grow cold, right? You could say, where is the love in the world right now? Where is the love? See, these prophecies are coming true. The love of, it says that many people's love will grow cold. It says, but whoever holds out to the end will be saved. And this good news about the kingdom will be preached through all the world for a witness to all people, and then the end will come, right? So it looks like we're pretty close, doesn't it? And then he talks about the abomination of desolation. In verse 15, it says, you will see the awful horror of which the prophet Daniel spoke. It will be standing in the holy place. Note to the reader, understand what this means. Then those who are in Judea must run away to the hills. Someone who is on the roof of a house must not take the time to go down and get any belongings from his house. Someone who is in the field must not go back to get a cloak. How terrible it will be in those days for women who are pregnant and for mothers with little babies. Pray to God that you will not have to run away during the winter or on a Sabbath, for the trouble at that time will be far more terrible than any there has ever been from the beginning of the world to this very day, nor will there ever be anything like it again. But God has already reduced the number of days. Had he not done so, nobody would survive. For the sake of his chosen people, however, God will reduce the days. Then if anyone says to you, 'Look, here is the Messiah,' or 'There he is,' do not believe it, for false messiahs and false prophets will appear. They will perform great miracles and wonders in order to deceive even God's chosen people, if possible. Listen, I have told you this ahead of time. Or if people should tell you, 'Look, he is out in the desert,' do not go there. Or if they say, 'Look, he is hiding here,' do not believe it, for the Son of Man will come like lightning which flashes across the whole sky from the east to the west. Wherever there is a dead body, the vultures will gather." So, leading up to the second coming of Christ, and then all of these things are going to be taking place. And then it talks about the coming of the Son of Man. Verse 29 says, "Soon after the trouble of those days." So all of this trouble, like, we shouldn't get bogged down per se with everything that's going on, because it's leading up to the second coming of Jesus Christ. But no one knows the day or the hour, but we know the signs and what's happening right now in the world is not in vain, because history is moving forward. History is constantly moving forward to the second coming of Jesus Christ. So when all of this trouble, it says, verse 29, soon after the trouble of those days, the sun will grow dark, the moon will no longer shine, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers in space will be driven from their courses. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and all the peoples of earth will weep as they see the Son of Man coming in on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. The great trumpet will sound, and he will send out his angels to the four corners of the earth, and they will gather his chosen people from one end of the world to the other. Then, if you keep reading in this chapter, he gives the lesson of the fig tree. When its branches become green and tender, it starts putting out its leaves. You know that summer is near. In the same way, when you see all these things, you will know that the time is near, ready to begin. Then he gives another, no one knows the day or hour, right? The faithful or unfaithful servant. So we have to remain faithful. So Matthew 24 is a great chapter to read if you're being troubled by all of the events that you see happening in the world right now. It is leading to the second coming of Jesus Christ. Even though no one knows the day or the hour, Christ could come at any moment for his church. We believe in the church believes in the imminent return of Jesus Christ, but these are the signs of Jesus coming back again. Anyways, thanks for listening.